Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is the F and G show.
Over a
Glass of wine. Well, this is our news segment. So we're going to do our news segment now. My buddy here, he likes sports, and I do the news. So we're going to look at a video, and I'll give you a little bit of a setup here, just a teeny bit. You know that one of the Trump lawyers wrote a expose on how to overthrow the election and overthrow the government. And he was caught undercover admitting to it, but in a previous interview he did, he was denying it. So let's look at the video and we're going to talk about it.
Ms. Windsor has just posted video of herself talking to John Eastman. She says she shot it this past weekend on Saturday. That would make this after he supposedly recanted and disavowed his whole proposed legal strategy for overthrowing the election results. Right? Remember, his was the strategy to have Mike Pence pull his one neat trick to keep Trump in power. He wrote the memos that created that legal architecture for the whole attack on the Capitol on January 6th to try to get Pence to reject Electoral College votes. He then disavowed that strategy, called it all crazy and non-viable in the National Review on Friday. But then on Saturday, the next day, speaking unwittingly to Lauren Windsor, turns out he was still saying it could have worked.
I'm just going to pause right quick. This has nothing to do with the video, but she got perfect hair. You see her hair is just perfect. It's just laid up. I can't help but just look at the hair. She's moving her head, but it ain't moving nowhere. Good job. Good job.
Strategy was a sound legal strategy. If only Mike Pence had the stones to go through with it. Watch this tape.
We're huge Trump supporters, and we were actually at January 6th.
Oh, yeah.
We saw your speech.
Should I incite you to go down to the Capitol and riot?
You actually incited us to become supporters of Claremont.
Oh, good. Very good. Very good.
Because, you know, and the work that you're doing is just so critical to saving our democracy.
Thank
and it's
you.
like, we couldn't not support your work after that.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. That's very kind of you.
So thank you. You're really doing the Lord's work.
Well, and
She says you're really doing the Lord's work.
Overthrowing the government is doing the Lord's work.
Come on, man. Religious folks, boy.
Well, she's an undercover reporter. Remember?
But still, to use the Lord. Blasphemy. That's why you gotta be careful out there. You don't know.
Well,
who's
he said he believes the Lord was leading him to do this.
I was just saying you gotta be careful out there because you know folks got cameras on you.
you heard me say it. My old professor said, if you're not catching incoming flak, you're not over the target. And my God, I must be directly over it. I don't think there's anybody who catches as much incoming flak, maybe other than Trump himself, that I have over the last 6 months. I mean, it's amazing.
Well, but I read your memo, and I thought it was solid in all of its legal arguments.
Yeah.
And I was floored that Mike Pence didn't do anything. I mean, why didn't he act on it? Because you gave him the legal reasoning to do that.
I know. And now in a piece in the Atlantic 2 days ago, they're already anticipating Trump winning in 2024, and they're using my arguments from that memo that they all said had no credibility to argue that Kamala Harris can block Trump's electoral votes. I mean, it's like, come on, people, you can't.
Basically, everyone's going to say, you're being proven
Can't even
right.
pronounce her name right.
Exactly.
You go back to English school.
That, right?
But that's what they mean.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
exactly.
all of your legal reasoning is totally solid.
Yeah, there's no question.
But I mean, like, you know, just supporter to supporter, like, why do you think that Mike Pence didn't do it?
Well, because Mike Pence is an establishment guy at the end of the day. And all of the establishment Republicans in D.C. bought into this very myopic view that Trump was destroying the Republican Party. And what Trump was doing is destroying the inside the Beltway Republican Party and reviving the Republican Party in the hinterland, right? What they all consider to be, deplorable flyover
Idiots.
country. And this uprising that Trump got ahead of it. He didn't create the movement. The movement was there, and he saw it and got ahead of it. But
He's talking about
they can't tolerate that because they all have nice, cushy
the movement to
livings
take
inside
back
the
America.
They all have nice, cushy living inside the Beltway. So that's why they didn't go along with it. All my legal reasoning was totally sound. It was correct. It would have worked. This is a way you can overthrow election results. This is a way we could have kept Trump in power, except old squishy establishment Mike Pence didn't go through with it.
Squishy.
That tape, again, from Lauren Windsor at The Undercurrent. She is not actually a Trump supporter who was there on January 6th. She said that in order to draw out Trump lawyer John Eastman, who wrote the legal strategy behind
John
the whole
Eastman is his
insurrection
name.
effort.
Remember that name.
She's trying to draw him out about that. She certainly succeeded. And now I know that I was wrong to put any faith in it. When just last week we saw him apparently disavowing and denying this strategy, disavowing and denying his own work on that. Saying, oh, that's crazy. It was totally unviable. That wasn't even a real thing. Don't ascribe that to me. I was wrong to see that as some kind of good sign that at least the insurrection guys felt bad and knew it was wrong.
So the part that she's talking about here is a week before this, I guess a couple of weeks before this, he got on a conservative network or some television radio show saying, oh, I wrote that letter. I didn't mean it. I wrote that letter on how to overthrow the election, overthrow the government. It wasn't going to work. It was just me writing something. And then they caught him in this video saying, yeah, it would have worked.
He apparently just decided they didn't have the right guy in as vice president, or the whole plan would have worked.
So, are you following up on that?
I'm not paying attention to it, to tell you the truth. It doesn't interest me.
He's not a political person. So while he's sleeping, the government's being taken over while he's sleeping, and we don't even know what's happening right under our nose. So this guy, I must make my opinion about John Eastman. What he did was treasonous. And all treason, my understanding, when you commit treason, treason is punishable by the death penalty. And so he committed treason. He wrote a memo outlining how to overthrow the election, basically overthrow the government, put Trump back in office, and turn us into a communist country, basically. And the reason why Mike Pence didn't do it, and let me tell you the inside story. Guess who he called to find out if he could? He called Dan Quayle on the phone. And Dan Quayle told him, Mike, you don't have a leg to stand on. Kudos to Dan Quayle. Because apparently Dan Quayle read the Constitution and Mike Pence did not. And so the vice president's responsibility is only to count the votes. He does not have no other responsibility, no other power given to him by the Constitution under no circumstances. And that's why they wanted to hang him. That's why the Trump insurrectionists and the terrorist attack on January 6th, they wanted to hang him. They built a gallows for him and other people they were going to hang. So, this guy who wrote this memo...
You really think they was going to hang somebody, man?
Yes.
You really think...
Yes. They would have hung them. I would have put no... I believe they did it. They would have hung them.
There's one reason why I think they wouldn't have hung anybody. Is because there are a lot of eyes now. This is not the hangings of the 40s, 50s, 60s. This is the hanging past the millennials. So at this point in time, you got cameras. If the cops don't get them, somebody in the street will get them.
They would have hung them.
I don't believe...
They would have killed Nancy Pelosi. They would have killed everybody in Congress. They would have done it.
I think they probably pumped fear in them. But as far as crossing that line of death, because death is final, I don't believe it.
Well, if it wasn't for they beat half the policemen to death, most of them to death out there.
Not beating half to death. Come on, man.
Yeah, well, some of them, one policeman did die.
They got a couple of them.
They got two of them died. Well, three died. Two died. Three committed suicide. So they say they are a party of law and order. Well, they didn't. That is not true, ladies and gentlemen. It was a madhouse. I watched the whole thing on TV with tears running down my eyes. So, and I couldn't function that day. I couldn't function the rest of the day. I could not function. And I kept saying to myself, this is what I kept saying to myself. I said, if I was there and I was protecting the White House and I had a 50 caliber machine gun, nobody would have got in there. Nobody would have got in there. Because it was my people. It was African Americans who built that Capitol. And I damn sure ain't gonna let you destroy it.
Only Frank, ladies and gentlemen. Only Frank.
So if you see this guy running around on the news media talking, ladies and gentlemen, he said one thing, then he's trying to cover himself, but he got caught in an undercover video. And the reason why he tried to backtrack is because now he's got subpoenaed by the commission to come say, okay, since you want to run your mouth, now you're going to get subpoenaed. So he got subpoenaed.
Well, that's pretty much. I don't have anything else to say about it. Just you voters, get out there and vote mid-election and get out there and vote for the 2024 election. And we'll see what happens next.
I'm moving.
This guy.
I'm moving.
From house to house, but you gonna still be in Alabama.
No.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. You got anything else, Frank?
No, I do not have anything else.
I don't have anything else, ladies and gentlemen. So this is the F and G show.
And it's time for us to go.